Hello, fifth graders, and welcome to our 11th interactive read aloud for Sharon Draper's Out of My Mind novel that we've been reading together. My dogs are kind of barking at something, so if they start barking, I might have to pause the video. I might just have to listen to them bark. They have a mind of their own. But wanted to let you know, this is a short chapter 14 and a long chapter 15. So I'm going to combine both chapters into one video for you. We're going to learn a little bit more about some technology that's coming into the book. We ended off on Claire and Molly discovering Rose at the aquarium with Melody and her family and what that interaction was like. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the last activity that I gave to you. I just want to make a quick reminder that although we are learning online, we still need to follow procedures and classroom expectations when it comes to working collaboratively together online, meaning that you are not erasing or misusing the technology or erasing your classmates' text, that you are using the technology appropriately to learn and to interact with one another, to grow your perspectives, and to increase your mindset on literature. So please do me a favor and continue being respectful to one another, and I will continue giving you guys activities for each chapter that I read. Hopefully it helps you guys and enjoy the book even more than what you already are, hopefully. Okay, here we go. Oh, one more quick thing. The copyright of this book, which we know about copyrights, are in the front cover. We learned about those in school this year. It's 2005. So this book is actually older than you guys are. So it's going to reference some technology that you might not think is cool or fancy as fifth graders in the year 2020. But it was kind of state of the art back then. So when it talks about the internet and it talks about MySpace, which was a social media platform before Facebook even came around, and that was popular when I was your guys' age. In fact, in 2005, I was in fifth grade. So just make sure that you guys reference that the time frame this book was written, and that it might not sound cool and fancy now, but I promise you it was cool and fancy back when this book was written. Okay, here we go. The Monday following Thanksgiving break, Catherine and I roll into Miss Gordon's language arts class a few minutes before the bell. It doesn't look like I'll ever find out what Rose really thought about the trip to the aquarium, because she clearly has more exciting things on her mind. Everyone is huddled around her desk. Awesome! I love the color. I didn't know they came in lime green. Oh man, that's awesome! How many songs have you downloaded? What's your new email address? You got IM? Videos! That's so cool! I wish my mom would get me a laptop like that. I roll closer. Rose is showing off a brand new laptop computer. I can get on the internet and find stuff for school and type up all my homework. She's telling the group around her, I've already uploaded pictures of my dog, and I've got my own MySpace page. I just shake my head as Catherine takes me back to my usual place in the back of the room. A laptop? I'm still pointing to words and phrases that Mrs. V and my mother have taped to a board that's strapped to my wheelchair. And Rose has the internet? I guess that means the whole universe at her fingertips. I close my eyes, trying not to cry, dreaming of the perfect Melody-made computer. First of all, it would talk. Oh, yes. People would have to tell me to shut up. And it would have room to store all of my words, not just the most common ones that have gotten pasted on my dumb plastic board. It would have big keys so my thumbs could push the right buttons, and it would connect to my wheelchair. It would not have to be lime green. I open my eyes with a start. Such a thing has to exist, right? Or something like it, maybe? I grab Catherine's arm and point to Rose's computer. Me too, I punch on my board. I do it several times. You want a computer like Rose's? Catherine glances over at Rose's laptop. It really is nice. Even I don't have one as cool as hers. No, I point. Wait, you don't want a computer? Catherine sounds confused. I've learned to be patient with people. Once again, I point to Rose's computer and then to the words, me too. I search all over my communication board, and the words better, nicer, and cooler just aren't there. So I point to good, then to the alphabet strip, and then jab at the letters E and R. Good-er. I sound like a doofus. Oh, Catherine says finally, you want a better computer than Rose's? Yes, I pound on the board. Then I point to for and me. I get it, Catherine cried. You want something specifically designed for you. That's just brilliant, Melody. I spell out, duh, and we laugh. Miss Gordon starts class then, reminding everyone about the due dates for the biography project. Tomorrow, she announces, class will meet in the media center so that you can make final choices about the person you will write about. And next week, we will begin making outlines of your life stories. Any questions? Connor, always the class clown, raises his hand. I found out the guy who invented the flush toilet was named Thomas Crapper. Can I do my report on him? Kids crack up. Rodney laughs so hard his whole face turned red. Miss Gordon shushes Rodney and the others. Sorry, Connor. I get this request every year. The flush toilet was invented in 1596 by John Harrington. No funny name. Do you still want to research him? Connor looks defeated. Nah, I guess I'll stay with the folks who started McDonald's. If I've got to spend a lot of time looking up stuff, burgers are better than toilets. Rodney tries to bust out laughing again, but Miss Gordon silences him with a look. Who will you choose to write about? Catherine asks me as Miss Gordon walks around the class talking to students about their projects. I think only for a minute. Stephenhawking, I spell out. I want to know how he does ordinary stuff, like eating and drinking. After all, he's a grown man. Stephen Hawking, that's who I'm talking about. Does his wife put him on the toilet? He has kids. How does he manage to be a dad? And I want to know about his talking devices, the super cool computers that help him talk and do really hard math problems, like finding black holes in space. I tap out the question for Catherine. Computer for me? I have no idea, she replies. Let's check it out. That's the end of chapter 14, and you guys are going to be doing a little bit of research on Stephen Hawking for me, and Stephen Hawking is actually a real person who has Lou Gehrig's disease, and he does not have cerebral palsy like Melody, but he was probably one of the smartest humans to ever grace his presence on our planet, but he was wheelchair bound like Melody. He could not talk. He had a lot of the same disabilities that Melody has. So Melody relates to Stephen Hawking. And Stephen Hawking was a real person. He died just a few years ago. He was alive when you guys were alive. So you guys are going to do some research for me on Stephen Hawking, but that's who Melody wants to write her book or her biography on. All right, chapter 15. The next morning, we get the first snowfall of the season. Big, fat snowflakes fall outside the windows of room H5. Freddie zooms over and touches the window. Nice, he says. Mrs. Shannon rolls all of us closer so we can watch the snow accumulate on the grass and trees. It's really pretty. Even Jill seems to relax. We gonna play in the snow? Asks Maria. No, Maria. It's too cold to play outside. But guess what? It's getting close to Christmas. Maria cheers. I've heard it's some sort of a tradition around here to decorate this old styrofoam snowman, Mrs. Shannon continues. She makes a face as she pulls Sydney's head out of his box. Maria starts to hug it, but Mrs. Shannon stops her and says, I believe in the smell of fresh pine trees at holiday time, and real candy canes, and popcorn garland. Tomorrow, I'm bringing in a real tree, and we're going to make it beautiful. Freddie and Carl slap palms. Maria looks disappointed. For a moment, but she seems to forget about the snowman as Mrs. Shannon gives everyone a soft piece of chocolate candy. She wisely stuffs Sydney back into his box. While Mrs. Shannon shows the rest of the class how to make paper snowflakes, Catherine and I sit together in front of the one clunky classroom computer and do web searches on communication devices. It's so slow. Sometimes it gets jammed up and stalls, and we have to reboot it and start all over. Room H5 always gets the big old leftover computers that the other classrooms no longer want. Catherine and I research all kinds of electronic talking and communication devices that have been designed for people like me. Lots of them seem as clunky and awkward as our room computer. Some look really complicated. All of them are expensive. Crazy expensive. Some of the websites don't even list the prices, like they're afraid to specify how much the things cost. The devices that use standard computer keyboards wouldn't work. I'd have no way to hit the individual keys. I need something that would work with just my thumbs. We find adapted computers, talking boards that speak the words, push-button systems, and even devices that work with blinks or head nods. Finally, we find something called a MediTalker that looks like a possibility. It has spaces big enough for my thumbs to get into millions of words and phrases built into it. I watched an online video of a boy about my age using one, and even though he clearly has no voice of his own, this little box lets him tell all the details of his recent birthday party. I get so excited that my legs start to kick and my arms start flailing, and I look like some kind of crazy human helicopter. Catherine prints out the information and tucks it into the book bags that is attached to the back of my chair. "Good luck, Melody," she whispers as she leaves for the day. When I get off the bus after school, Mrs. V is waiting for me as usual. I almost twist out of my seat trying to point to my bag to let her know I have something important in it. "Hold your horses," Mrs. V says. "Since when are you so excited to do homework?" I just want to make sure how long this chapter is because it's pretty long. Hold on. Okay. "Hold your horses. Since when are you excited to do homework? What's got you all in a tizzy today?" I just grin and kick. After my snack of caramel candy, first, and tuna melt, last, and after Penny, who has just gotten up from her nap, eats her applesauce, Mrs. V finally pulls the paper out of my bag. "Well, this is exactly what you need," Mrs. V says, slapping the printouts onto the table after reading them. "No wonder you're all fired up." "Yes, yes, yes," I point. Then I point to the individual words, "talk to Mom," and "Dad, talk, talk, talk." "I'll do just that, just as soon as they get home from work, Melody," Mrs. V promises. I can hardly wait. While Penny watches Cookie Monster gobble carrots instead of cookies on Sesame Street, I dream of talking, talking, talking. When Mom picks us up, Mrs. V, true to her word, not only shows Mom the printouts, but even has her computer already set up to the webpage where the MediTalker is advertised and sold. Penny sits on Mom's lap and keeps pushing computer keys, messing up the display, which is getting on my nerves. But Mom watches a video that shows people actually talking and cracking jokes and even going to college by using the machine. Mrs. V explains to Mom how this is exactly right for me, and Mom, instead of being practical and sensible and thrifty like she usually is, seems to agree. "Looks like insurance will cover about half the cost," she muses as she navigates the website. "Let me talk to Chuck. This is long overdue." "Tonight?" I ask from my board. "Yep, tonight," Mom says, giving me a squeeze. But nothing happens right away in my world. Mom fills out the online application for the machine the next day and sends it in. I wait. Then we have to ask my doctor to fax in a prescription. I've heard of prescriptions for antibiotics, but for machines, that seems crazy. Who'd ever want this machine unless they need it? I wait. Next, we have to get approval from our insurance company. More paperwork and phone calls, more questions and answers. I wait. A parental financial statement has to be turned in. You gotta be kidding me. Why do they make it so complicated? I wait. The medical form was missing one signature and has to be resubmitted. I wait. One last approval from the school office has to be turned in. I wait. I realize I've been waiting for this thing all my life. Finally, on the Wednesday before Christmas, the MediTalker arrives. I need no other gift. When I get home from school, Mrs. V tells me that she hurried to my house when she saw the UPS truck pulling up in our driveway. She signed for the package and brought it to her house for safekeeping. The huge brown box sits there taped and secure, and it is addressed to me. I wiggle and squeal and insist we open it right away. I can feel one of my tornadoes coming on. Spastic City, here I come. Calm down, Mellow Yellow, Mrs. V says, placing a hand on my shoulder, but I can't relax. Open, 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 I tap on my board. Well, your mom knew you'd be impatient, Mrs. V says, so when I called her to say it arrived, she told me it was okay for us to open it. I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack watching Mrs. V carefully open the edges of the box. She lets me pull at the brown paper inside. Then, under about a mile of bubble wrap, there it is, the MediTalker. Smaller than I expected, it's only the size of my wheelchair tray, but it's sleek and shiny and cool to the touch. It's like a butterfly ready to unfold its wings. Boy, oh boy, I can't wait to try it. Mrs. V plugs it into a wall outlet to charge the battery, then pulls out the huge booklet of directions. Whew, she says. This will take a year to read and understand. She flops down in a soft, easy chair with Penny on her lap and begins to read. And I begin to wait, and wait, and wait. Finally, when I just know I'm going to explode, I wheel over to the table where the MediTalker sits. I've seen the kids at school play video games they've never seen before, and I've seen them program their phones and computers without touching a book of instructions. So, I take my right thumb and push on the button. The board whirls and glows, and then a welcome message appears on the screen. I push another button, and a voice that sounds like an Englishman with a really bad head cold bursts out. "Welcome to MediTalker." Mrs. V jumps up from the couch, and I shriek with joy. "It looks like you're way ahead of me, Melody. Not that I'm surprised." She sets Penny down. "Now let's see what this machine can do." I feel like Christopher Columbus bumping into America. It had been there all the time, but he was the first one from his world to find it. I wonder if his heart had beat as fast as mine is. It's kind of funny because we learned about that in social studies this year. We quickly discover that the MediTalker has more than a dozen levels, all easily reached with just one button. So on level 1, we program in the names of everyone I know. My name, all the members of my family, kids and teachers at school, my doctors, the neighbors, my parents, friends, and of course, Mrs. V. On the second level, she insists we add all the vocabulary words we've been collecting on our multicolored 3x5-inch flashcards. Type, save, type, save. Mrs. V's fingers fly as she keeps adding words for me. Lots of our vocabulary words are already in the machine's memory, but she gives me more, and more. Nouns, verbs, adverbs, and adjectives, thousands of them, as well as a cool sentence maker that is located on another level. We can prepare hundreds of phrases and sentences and get them with just a touch. Have you heard of their latest song? That's what's up. How did you do on the spelling test? Ordinary words, normal conversations. I've never had that. This is awesome. On another level is for numbers and even computation. I'll be able to do math now. Maybe I won't tell the teachers about that one. And there's a level full of corny jokes and silly sayings with room left for us to add more. Another level plays music. I can connect the device to a computer and download any song I want. I can't wait to search iTunes. Maybe I can ask Rose which songs are hot. Rose. I can actually talk to Rose now. We stop programming after a while. Penny needs to be changed and kept occupied, but I'm much too excited to rest. So after Mrs. V gets Penny set up with her dollhouse at the foot of the couch, we add even more words and phrases. Finally, she stops typing and says, "Would you like to try it out?" Their room is absolutely quiet. I stroke the edge of the machine softly, then push 2 buttons. "Thanks, Mrs. V," the computer's voice says. She blinks real fast. I do too. She reaches for a tissue. We both need it. Mrs. V tucks the tissue into her pocket, then begins reading again from the instructional manual. "Hey, listen to this," she says. "With that conductor cord, you can also save longer things you want to write, like stories or poems on the computer." "Wow," the machine says. Mrs. V nods in agreement. "This is going to be fun. But you're going to need lots of practice to make it say what you want, kid." She's right. Many levels have been left blank for users to input their own information, words, sentences, phone numbers, even pictures. Information can be typed directly into the machine or it can be downloaded from a computer. It's a little overwhelming. "We can design this to fit you, Melody," Mrs. V tells me. "This will be your world. So let's take our time and make it exactly what you need." I'm so happy. I almost feel like hugging the machine, but that would look silly. Instead, I name it. That's probably pretty dumb, but sometimes it's good to have something that nobody else knows about you. I'm not going to type the name into the machine because it's personal, but in my mind, I'm going to call the MediTalker Elvira, after the song I like. Yep, my heart's on fire for Elvira. While Mrs. V plays with Penny for a while, I continue to explore what Elvira can do. One of the first changes I want to make is the hello message and the voice that speaks it. The computer-produced greeting sounds really fake, but the machine offers several female voices to choose from, as well as a bunch of different languages. I picked the voice called Trish. She actually sounds like a girl, not a grown-up. I wouldn't mind sounding like her if I could talk. Bonne voix, Trish says in French. I know that means welcome. I push the button for German, and she says, Willkommen. I even find something that sounds like Funying, when I touch the button for Chinese. I stop for a minute and stare at the board. It has never occurred to me that there are kids like me in Germany and China and France who need a machine to help them talk. Mrs. V returns to me and helps me change the original welcome message from the very mechanical sounding, "Welcome to MediTalker," to Trish's voice saying, "Hi, I'm Melody. Talk to me." I can't wait to take it to school and introduce my new computer to everybody there. I wonder what Rose will say. By now, both Mom and Dad have called to check on how we're doing, how much progress we've made. They're both anxious to get here and see the device for themselves. So while we wait, Mrs. V suggests that we just keep programming it, adding more and more. She thinks I should practice using it for a couple of weeks before taking it to school. I don't really want to wait, but I have to agree with her that this is going to take some time. I want to be able to use the system to talk like ordinary kids, sort of. So we return to words. I want to input thousands of them. Notebook, marker, homework, assignment, test, positive, negative, fingernail, nail polish, outfit, backpack, purse, scared, excited, purple. Then we type in more phrases, hundreds of them. To the mall, from a distance, in the middle of, as a result, the reason why. Lastly, we get to some sentences, dozens of them. What time is it? What's up with that? You crack me up. I'm so excited. Before the doorbell rings. When Dad and Mom come in to pick us up, Dad is ready with his camcorder. His hands are shaking a little. "Show us how it works, honey," he says. I can't believe Dad is making a video of me saying my first words. It's almost like he filmed Penny's first words. Well, not really. I type very carefully and push the button to make the machine speak. "Hi, Dad. Hi, Mom. I am so happy." Mom gets all teary-eyed and her nose gets red. She is looking at me all soft and gooey. When I think about it, I realize I have never ever said any words directly to my parents. So I push a couple of buttons and the machine speaks the words I've never been able to say. "Mom and Dad, I love you." Mom completely loses it. She bubbles up with tears and grabs Dad. I think he might be sniffling back a couple of tears himself, but he has recorded it all. That's the end of chapter 15. That makes me always a little teary-eyed because I can't imagine not being able to say to your parents that you love them or saying thank you. So Melody's been given a huge gift right now. And in my personal opinion, we've talked about the plot of a story and that story mountain and the peak of the story being the climax of the story. I think Melody getting her MediTalker is the climax of the story. And it is one of the most critical points in the book. It made me kind of tear up a little bit because, again, it's an emotional time. So I'm going to share with you guys a Google slide. This is not one that you're going to be able to communicate with each other back and forth on just yet. You will have a chance later on, but not on this one. I want you guys to do some research for me on Stephen Hawking. I'm also going to be doing some research on the MediTalker that Melody just got and add in some of your own research to the Google slide that I'm going to create for you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully you enjoyed this chapter. These chapters. Sorry the video was long. Take care and good luck with your research.